Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the architecture of reputation. It's this hidden currency that quietly decides who gets heard, who gets the promotion, and who, well, gets left behind. It's a system running under the surface of every single professional interaction. And here's the kicker. It often has very little to do with actual skill.
In that quote right there, it just nails the central paradox we're digging into. Look, we all want to believe in a meritocracy, right? That the best work wins. But the cold, hard reality is often different. We don't always reward the most competent person. We reward the person who is the best at signaling competence. And that, right there, is the foundation of reputation currency.
So here's our game plan for this deep dive. We're going to break this all down into 6 parts. We'll start with that invisible engine of success, then get into the skilled ghost's dilemma. From there, we'll deconstruct the branding hijack, understand the brain's cognitive shortcut that lets it all happen, learn how to diagnose the signal monopoly, and finally, talk about how to own the narrative, own the future. All right, let's fire up that invisible engine. Most of us operate under the assumption that success is a direct payment for hard work and real results. But in reality, it's often driven by signals. These symbols our brains process as fact long before we do any real digging. It's less about what you've actually done and so much more about what people believe you're capable of.
This brings us to the core concept itself. What is reputation currency? It's a system that basically weaponizes our brain's natural tendency to be lazy. And I mean that literally. Thinking is metabolically expensive. It burns calories. So our minds are hardwired to be pulled towards the easiest conclusion. And when we're sizing someone up, it is so much easier to assess their image, their packaging, than to conduct a full, rational audit of their actual skills.
And this is where the real battle is fought. You've got competence, what you can actually do, versus packaging, how you appear. See, the ancient lizard part of our brain, the part that's always scanning for threats, isn't really analyzing your strategic plan. It's assessing the fluency of your presence. A polished, high-signal person, let's call them the image architect, feels like a low-risk bet. And this creates what we call the halo trap, where we just start attributing all sorts of skills to them simply because they look the part. And just like that, meritocracy begins to crumble.
And that leads us to the human cost of this system, the dilemma of the skilled ghost. And this isn't just some abstract theory, it's a lived, painful pattern for so many high performers. It's that gut-wrenching feeling of sudden erasure. That moment you realize you did all the heavy lifting, you built the entire engine, but the person who just put a shiny coat of paint on it got all the credit and the promotion.
And you almost always see this dynamic play out between these two archetypes. The skilled ghost thinks, if I just do great work, I'll be recognized. Their whole strategy is humility and execution. The image architect, though, they get the system we're talking about. Their strategy is all about signal management. And the outcomes, well, they couldn't be more different. One gets invisibility, the other gets reputational profit.
For the skilled ghost, this leads to a really devastating psychological state. Your operational worth, your actual tangible value, is treated like it's less important than someone else's brand. The brutal irony is that your desire to be humble, to let your work speak for itself, is the very thing that ends up making you feel completely disposable. You effectively hand over the keys to your own career narrative just because someone else looks more like a leader.
Okay, so let's put on our engineering hats and look at how this system is deliberately built. This isn't random, it's a strategic process, it's capture, and it moves from identifying a valuable asset to completely controlling its perceived value. Here's the systemic failure that lets it all happen.
This branding hijack goes down in 4 very distinct phases. It all starts with a semiotic strike, which then leads to an audit bypass. That, in turn, enables labor extraction, and the whole thing culminates in a full-blown signal monopoly. Let's break down each one.
So, phase 1, the semiotic strike. Think of the image architect as a master of camouflage. They are students of symbols. They figure out the artifacts of success in their environment. The jargon the leaders use, the types of projects they talk about, their exact communication style. Then they put on this uniform of authority. They are literally building a neurological shortcut in everyone's mind, making it easy to associate them with success. They're just waiting for that moment when the image completely overrides the need for an audit.
And this is where the logic breaks. Once that image is locked in, the audit bypass kicks off. Because of that halo effect, people just start expecting excellence from the architect. A throwaway comment is suddenly treated as a visionary insight. It's just easier and it feels better for decision makers to trust the shiny established brand than to do the hard work of checking the facts. So what happens? They get the best projects, the biggest budgets, and the most talented people.
And that brings us to the end game.
the signal monopoly. The image architect now holds a high-status job sustained almost entirely by their brand. And in the background, you've got the skilled ghosts doing the actual work that keeps the whole thing from collapsing. But here's the most insidious part. When things go right, the architect gets the glory. When things go wrong, the ghosts get the technical blame. A shadow hierarchy is now locked in place.
And the final outcome of all this? It's what we call structural authority. The image architect's brand becomes the default reality for the entire group. Their signal is so powerful that the actual experts, the skilled ghosts, are forced to slap the architect's name onto their own work just to get it seen and approved. The system has now officially shifted from rewarding effort to paying rent to an image.
So, you might be wondering, why does this work so consistently? Why does this pattern pop up even in super analytical, data-driven places? The answer isn't in the company handbook. It's in the fundamental wiring of the human brain.
So why are we as a species such suckers for this kind of thing? Well, it's because our brains evolved for efficiency above everything else. Survival often meant making good enough decisions fast, not perfect decisions slowly. Our brains are literally built to take shortcuts.
Now check this out. This table lays out the brain's law of least effort. When we evaluate someone, we've got two paths. Path 1, conduct a full rational audit of a stranger. That's a huge cognitive task, it burns a lot of energy, and it feels high risk. Or there's path 2, just trust a strong, high-status signal. That's metabolically cheap and it feels safe. Our brain is going to default to path 2 almost every single time. We are literally wired to prefer being collectively wrong with a perceived winner than being individually right with an unknown.
And this whole shortcut system gets put on steroids by a few key cognitive biases. Cognitive fluency means we just prefer people and ideas that are simple and easy to process. Our innate fear of risk, you could call it pre-built cowardice, makes us favor the safe-looking option. Then cognitive dissonance kicks in to make us justify our first impression, even if we see evidence to the contrary. And finally, the heuristic of prominence. It's a mental shortcut, where we just assume that because someone is visible, they must be good.
Okay, so we get the how and the why, but how do you actually spot this happening in the real world? Diagnosing a signal monopoly means you have to shift your perspective, away from just working hard and towards signal hardening. That means you have to actively manage how your competence is seen and understood by everybody else. Here it is. This is the big red flag, the #1 diagnostic clue, a clear signal-to-result disconnection. When you see the presentation of a result, the flashy slideshow, the confident delivery, getting more praise than the accuracy and validity of the result itself, you are watching a signal monopoly happen in real time. The wrapping paper has officially become more valuable than the gift inside.
And this exposes the central, fragile paradox of the whole system. The image architect's brand, their entire reputation, is built on a foundation of work done by the very experts the system ignores. Their authority is a hollow shell, completely fueled by the competence of the skilled ghosts. And the moment those invisible experts realize this, that their skill is the only thing propping the architect up, the whole narrative can shatter. Because a brand can't fix a server outage, an image can't solve a complex technical problem.
And that brings us to the final and I think the most important part of this analysis. Look, understanding this system isn't about becoming cynical or learning to be an image architect yourself. No. It's about understanding the mechanics so you can reclaim your own agency and make sure your value is seen. It's about owning your future. So this is the key takeaway. The solution isn't to be less humble or less skilled. It's to make your value undeniable. Branding your value means you're translating your actions into a clear story of impact. So instead of just emailing a report, you write a preface explaining the problem it solves and the value it creates. You quantify your work. Increased efficiency by 15% is a brand statement. I finished the project is not. You make your thinking visible, so people don't just see the end result, they see the expertise that got them there. This is how you build the reputation that can't be separated from your competence.
So I'm going to leave you with one final, sharp question to take with you. Take a hard, objective look at your own professional world. Who's consistently getting the credit and why? Who is doing the real, foundational work? And who is collecting the reputational profit? In short, who owns the signal in your world? And more importantly, what are you going to do about it?